Dear students, today we are moving on to the third session on sheet metal forming processes. The last session we have covered 7 types of forming processes. They are drawing, explosive forming, incremental forming, magnetic pulse forming, pin forming, roll forming, and rubber forming. Today we will move on to the next type of forming process, that is the spinning. Let us move into the details of various types of spinning processes for sheet metal forming. Spinning is generally carried out for small or large axisymmetric parts over a mandrel. It can give good surface finish, low tooling cost, and labor cost is comparatively higher unless the operation is automated. And this process is similar to shaping clay on a potter's wheel. Only thing in potter's wheel, the shaping is done by the operator's hand, whereas in the case of spinning, uh, the sheet metal is formed against a mandrel uh, by a tool moved longitudinally from the right side towards the left over the mandrel, as shown in figure A. In the figure, the mandrel is fitted between or loaded between the headstock and tailstock of a lathe, and the cutting tool is connected onto the carriage, and it is moved from the tailstock side towards the headstock side. The sheet metal or the sheet which is to be made into the required shape is in the form of a disc and is placed between the mandrel and the compression pad on the tailstock. The operation is taking place when the machine is in the running condition. The mandrel is revolving between the headstock and the tailstock, and the tool is moved from the tailstock side towards the headstock side. And the shape is whatever shape is there on the mandrel is uniformly transferred onto the sheet metal, and the final product is being made. And a typical photograph of a spinning machine is shown on the right side figure. It consists of a mandrel, the tailstock on the machine, headstock, the rotating spindle. There are some clamping arrangements for keeping the sheet metal disc between the mandrel and the tailstock, and then it has got a forming tool, and the operation is by movement of the cutting tool over the mandrel, and the shape is formed, or the shape of the mandrel is transferred onto the sheet metal. Thus we can get uh, the required part very easily transferred onto the shape is transferred onto the sheet metal from the mandrel. And this process is actually called conventional spinning. Here in conventional spinning, a circular blank. There are 3 figures shown in this slide. In the first slide, the sheet metal disc is placed between the clamp and the mandrel, and it will be further supported by a tailstock onto the clamp, and it is rotated while a rigid tool shapes the material over the mantle. And the tool activation either manual or it can be on a computer controlled machine. And the process involves a sequence of passes. In only one pass, we may not be able to produce the shape because sheet metal has got a high strength, and in order to form the sheet metal to the required shape, we may require several passes so that the sheet metal is uh, exactly formed over the mantle. And conventional spinning is suitable for making conical and curvilinear parts with part diameters up to 6 meters. Parts up to 6 meters can be produced by this process. And thick parts and metals with high strength or low ductility require spinning at elevated temperatures. Suppose you want to make a component with high sheet metal, high thickness for the sheet metal, and the sheet metal has got low ductility. In such cases, we have to go for operation at high temperatures. But whether it is in the room temperature or at the elevated temperature, the process is same, and the required shape can be obtained easily onto the component. And this slide gives the photograph of different types of products that can be made from a conventional spinning process. The only thing we have to change the mantle according to the type of or the shape of product required. Accordingly, the machine and the tool, everything remains same. Only thing, the mantle is changed based on the shape of the parts. And actually, there are three types of spinning processes, that is conventional spinning, shear spinning, and tube spinning. Now we will pass on to shear spinning. Shear spinning is also same as that of the conventional spinning process, but the only difference is that the material thickness is also reduced in this process. This process is also known as power spinning, float turning, hydro spinning, and spin forging. Because the sheet metal thickness is reduced, this is also called, or that is why it is called power spinning. A lot of energy is required to reduce the thickness of the sheet at room temperature. That is why it's also called float turning or hydro spinning or spin forging. It's like a forging operation where the thickness of the metal is reduced. And in this operation, the sheet thickness is reduced while maintaining its blank diameter. The inner diameter of the uh, or the inner diameter of the part remains same because it is just replicating the shape of the mantle. So hence the inside diameter remains the same, whereas the outer diameter, the thickness of the sheet is reduced according to the requirement. And this gives or exerts enormous force, and in order to balance the load coming onto the machine tool, normally the the roller or the tool which is making the forming operation is provided from both the sides, so that the total load coming onto the machine tool is somewhat balanced. A single forming roll or double rolls to balance the radial force acting on mantle. And the typical parts produced by this process is rocket motor casings and missile nose cones, and parts up to 3-meter diameter can be formed by this process. There is only very little waste of material and relatively short time process because the operation is running in the dynamic stage where the material is rotated at a high speed and the tool is moving with a high feed rate. So the time taken for producing a component with this process is comparatively low. And the efficiency of this process again depends upon the spinnability of a metal. That is the maximum reduction in thickness that can be formed or that can be made on the sheet metal without any fracture on the surface. That is most important, and that property is called spinnability of the material. Now we will pass on to tube spinning. Tube spinning is again a process very similar to shear spinning. Only thing, the diameter of the hollow tube is made to the required wall thickness. It can be an external operation or even an internal diameter can be processed by this kind of operation. And parts may be spun forward or backward. And the maximum thickness reduction per pass is related to the tensile reduction of the area of the material as in shear spinning. And typical parts produced by these processes are rocket, missile, and jet engine parts, pressure vessels, and automotive components such as car and truck wheels that can be produced by tube spinning processes. Next is stamping. Stamping is not an exclusive process, but it is a wide variety of operations applied on a sheet metal part is generally called as stamping. And this involves various cutting and forming operations such as punching, blanking, embossing, bending, flanging, and pointing. And the typical part is shown in the diagram where various cutting operations, punching operations, and forming operations are combined on a single part, and a final product is made by applying all the above processes. A simple or complex shapes formed at a very high production rate. Tooling and equipment cost is very high because this part is made with different types of tool on different machines. So this involves low labor cost because most of the operations are automated, and the labor cost is comparatively less because the same component uh, in some cases various operations are combined on the same machine, or different operations in the automated form it is done, and the product is made with high accuracy and finish. And this is generally called stamping operation, or a product can be made by stamping process. Next is another important operation called stretch forming. Here, this is mainly applied for large parts with shallow contours, low quantity of production, high labor cost, tooling and equipment cost increase with the part size. A typical stretch forming operation is shown in the figure. This involves uh, a complicated clamping mechanism, and initially we have to make a special clamping arrangement on both ends of the sheet, and these clamps are connected to two carriages, and at the time of forming the clamps are stretched in either direction. At the same time, a ramp is coming up on the bottom with the required shape on the press table. That is the form die. and as the component is stretched and the ram is moving from the bottom and the required shape is formed on the die, and as it moves up the shape is transferred onto the sheet metal in the stretched condition, and this kind of forming is called stretch forming, and a detailed figure is given in slide. Here the sheet metal is connected onto two grippers. On one side the gripper is on the table and the tool is also mounted, and on the other side the gripper is on a turntable and it pulls the blank in the direction of the arrow, and in the pulled condition the turntable rotates and the required shape from the tool is transferred onto the blank, and this is one method of stretch forming. And and a different one another method is shown in the figures below. In figure 1, that is the bottom figure, figure B, here there are three stages are shown in this figure. In the first stage, the blank is stretched in both the directions, and in that stretched condition, the clamps go down so that the blank sits properly on the bottom die, and in that condition the ram from the top comes down and the required shape is transferred onto the blank. So once this stretching and uh, uh, the, the punching, not punching, the movement of the ram uh, by by uh, heavy force from the top, it applies heavy load and the proper formation is happening on the blank and the shape is transferred onto the blank. So this kind of operation when the sheet is in the stretched condition is called stretch form. Next we will pass on to superplastic forming. This is a specialist process used for deforming metal sheet to extremely large plastic strains to produce thin walled components to the near net shape. So it is in one pass the net shape is produced with extremely large plastic strain. So stretching of the sheet during superplastic forming is much higher than with rolling and sheet forming. So the plastic deformation happening on to the sheet by this process is the elongation or the forming is at a much higher rate compared to even rolling or forming. And here what happens is the sheet is held between uh, the there is two parts of the die. One is the bottom side and the blank is kept between the top and the bottom, and there is a facility for providing pressurized inert gas from the top side. And normally in the plastic superplastic forming operation the sheet is heated to a higher temperature so that the formability is easier, and in that condition the sheet is kept there and inert high pressure gas is supplied from the top side. So when the high pressure gas comes onto the chamber, because of the high pressure the sheet is pushed into the die cavity and the required shape of the required shape is transferred from the die to the blank is happening, and final shape is obtained. The final shape in one pass is obtained in the superplastic form, and this is comparatively a faster process, and uh, large deformation is happening, and that is why it is applied at a high temperature. The material is first heated up to promote superplasticity. And for titanium alloys and some stainless steel, this is around 900 degrees centigrade. And for aluminum alloys, it is between 450 and 520 degrees centigrade. In this stage, the material becomes soft, so processes that are usually used on plastics can be applied, such as thermoforming, blow forming, and vacuum forming. These are the forming operations normally applied for plastics. Because the material is heated to the elevated temperature, the same type of behavior uh, is coming from the metal because of the high temperature and superplastic forming. And normally inert gas pressure is applied on the superplastic sheet, forcing it to be a female die. And this is how the superplastic forming operation takes place. This we will now pass on to the major advantages. It can form large and complex workpieces in one operation. Excellent precision and fine surface finish is obtainable. Then product does not suffer from spring back or residual stresses because the operation is happening at high temperature. There is recovery. There is no chance of a elastic recovery because of superplasticity at high temperature. But the main disadvantages are it's a slow forming rate because we are applying pressure from one side, and the sheet takes the required shape with slow forming rate, and cycle times vary from 2 minutes to 2 hours. That depends upon what type of shape is going to be uh, obtained from the die cavity. Usually, for simple shapes, it won't take much time, but for complicated shapes, it will take more time for getting the contours to be transferred onto the sheet. Usually used in low volume production applications and non-uniformity of part thickness. That is one small disadvantage with this process because it is done at elevated temperature, and based upon the shape of the die cavity, there can be some thickness variation on the profile. That is one disadvantage. And with this, we come to the end of the superplastic forming, and generally the different forming operations are completed uh, with this topic. And we wind up the session today. Thank you.